right, guys, so we are going to go ahead and review circumference. We did an exploration activity over it yesterday, but just as a reminder, circumference of a circle is the distance around a circle. And we can find circumference one of two ways. So you can use the formula pi d, or you can use 2 pi r. It depends on the information that you're given. So for pi, remember that you can substitute in 3.14, or you can also use 22/7 for pi, okay? So let's go ahead and look at some examples. So for number 1, it says find the circumference of the circle below and use 3.14 for pi. Well, because they only gave me the radius and not the diameter, I'm going to go ahead and use the second formula, c equals 2 pi r. Okay? And then I'm just going to substitute in my values. So they want me to use 3.14 for pi. And then for the radius, I'm going to substitute in 9. So we would just multiply 2 times 3.14 times 9, which gives us 56.52 centimeters. Okay? All right. Number 2. Find the circumference of the circle below. Use 22/7 for pi. Again, they just gave me the radius, so I'm going to go ahead and use this formula, 2 pi r. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and substitute in 22/7. Now listen, you do not have to use 22/7 if you don't want to. You can always use 3.14 and you'll always get the right answer. And then 21 is your radius. Okay? All right. So then you would just multiply 2 times 22/7 times 21, which would give you 132 feet. Okay? All right. Number 3. Find the circumference of the circle below. Use 3.14 for pi. So again, you're going to use your formula. I'm going to use pi d because they gave me the diameter. Okay? And they told me to use 3.14, so I'm going to substitute that in for pi. And then my diameter is 22. So when we multiply 3.14 times 22, we get 69.08 miles. So again, you're just substituting in values into your formula. Number 4. So it says find the circumference of the circle below, use 22/7 for pi. So again, they gave me the diameter, so I'm going to use the formula pi d, because d stands for diameter. Now, they want me to use 22/7 for pi, and then I'm going to substitute in 14. Now, I can go ahead and put a 1 underneath the 14, because then, you can do that with whole numbers, and it sets up my problem really nicely. So what I want you to notice is that you can actually cross-simplify right here. 7 goes into 14 2 times. And then I have a really simple problem. I just do 22 times 2, which gives me 44. So my answer is 44 inches. Okay? Now, the last 2 problems, we're going to have to kind of work backwards. So number 5 says, find the radius of the circle below. Use 3.14 for pi. So they just gave me radius, so I'm going to use the formula c equals 2 pi r. Okay? And I'm going to substitute in the values that I know. So for example, I know what my circumference is. It's 113.04. So I'm going to substitute that in for c. Okay? I've got 2. They told me to use 3.14 for pi. And then I do not know my radius. So now this just turns into a really simple equation that I need to solve. So I can simplify 2 times 3.14, okay? When you multiply that, you get 6.28, and then I keep my r. So now this is just a one-step equation, right? To get r by itself, I have to divide by 6.28 on both sides. So when I divide 113.04 by 6.28, I find out that my radius is 18 kilometers. All right, my last problem, it's very similar. It says find the diameter of the circle below, but it says use 22/7 for pi. So they gave me the diameter, so I'm going to use the formula C equals pi d. And I'm going to go ahead and use 22/7 for pi, and then write d. And I forgot to substitute in 88 for c because I already know the circumference. That's my bad. So again, this is just a one-step equation, right? To get d by itself, I'm going to have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 7/22. Okay, I can put a 1 underneath this. This cancels, right? So I get d by itself. And then I can cross simplify again, right? This simplifies. So 22 and 88 can be simplified by 11. So 22 by 11 is 2, 88 by 11 is 8, and then I can actually cross simplify again. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 7 times 4 is 28. So my diameter, is 28 yards. Okay? Now, if you have a hard time with your fractions, it is okay. Like, if you don't understand what happened here, it's no big deal. You could have just used 3.14 times d and then divided 88 by 3.14, and you still would have gotten the same answer, okay? So, hope that helps. Make sure you glue these notes into your IMB, and as always, if you have questions, come see me.